Hello, and welcome to my part of the museum project for Mr. Birchall's Period 9 class. Today, I'll be talking about the Dred Scott court case. The Dred Scott court case is one of the most famous court cases in the 1800s. The court case went all the way to the Supreme Court, which doesn't usually happen unless it's a very serious matter and nobody can get a real ruling out of it. But this case was ruled 7-2 against the man Dred Scott. But why was this so important that it needed to go to the Supreme Court? Well, in 1843, a slave named Dred Scott was denied freedom, and Scott moved with his owner, John Emerson, to Illinois, a state that doesn't allow slavery. Scott lived there when his owner died, and he sued Emerson's wife for his freedom. Scott stated that since he lived in Missouri and Illinois, which are both free states, that he was a free man, and the court ruled that he wasn't. Scott had become legal property of John F.A. Sanford, and he lived in New York City. So his lawyers transferred the case to a federal court. There, the federal court ruled against Scott, and the case was then sent to the Supreme Court, where Scott lost 7-2. Here's some more information about Dred Scott. Dred Scott was a slave. He had been taken from Missouri by his master to Illinois and Minnesota Territory, which he had resided for 2 years, and then he returned. Sometime later, he sued for his liberty in Missouri courts, on the ground that residents in a free state and a territory north of the Missouri Compromise line had automatically conferred freedom upon him. Under the guidance of free soil adherents, the case ultimately was carried to the Supreme Court. When Chief Justice Taney rose to read the decision, in his high-pitched, thin voice, the Washington courtroom was packed. Despite foreknowledge of the nature of the decision, Taney's words came with the force of a thunderclap. Dred Scott's claim was denied on 3 grounds. Slaves or free African Americans could not be United States citizens. Therefore, they could not sue in federal courts. 2. Illinois laws could not affect his situation in Missouri, where he now resided. And 3. Residents in Minnesota Territory, which was north of 36 degrees 30, did not confer freedom, as the Missouri Compromise itself was unconstitutional. Northern papers blazed with inflammatory news. The Missouri Compromise unconstitutional, the triumph of slavery complete. It was plain to everyone that the court was heavily biased in favor of the South. 7 of the 9 justices were Democrats, and 5 of the 7 were Southerners. The decision meant that slavery followed the flag. Squatter sovereignty seemed dead. The voice of Calhoun, stilled these 5 years, was never more alive.